Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be building a slide out drawer for our mountain bikes. Needless to say, once this drawer is built, it can be used for a plethora of different things. So we'll be able to use this for all of our kind of paddle boards, adventure equipment, dirty equipment, anything that wants to go in the back, we're putting in here. One of the reasons we're doing this is because right now I'm touching my back, and that's because I have slight back problems. So rather than reaching into the garage space on the van, we're going to build something that slides out. So this material is called Tiger Board. It's a resin fronted, I think it's a ply, might be an MDF. It's a ply, which is great because I've got a few other ideas, and having some of that exposed will look good. This is a bit of an offcut, but what we're going to be essentially doing is building a drawer system that will hold the bikes, and we've bought some very, very heavy duty drawer runners. The base of our drawer is going to be 140 centimeters long, and it is going to be 110 centimeters wide. That is way more than enough room to fit 2 mountain bikes and all the other gear that we want to put on there. I've chosen to do it this way rather than just mounting mountain bikes because our drawer runners will take a load of up to 140 kilos, which is 1.5 times me at least. Right, it's crazy weight. Anyway, I've got myself a bit of aluminium 50 by 50 L angle here, and I'm simply using that as a straight jig. So when I'm using my circular saw, we're marking out on the back of the board, not the front facing side, because that saw rips upwards. We've just cut the length, which is 140. We're now going to cut 10 centimeters off this board. Most sheets of plywood are 120 by 240, and that extra 10 centimeters that we cut off, we're going to be using for something else as well. One thing that I'm doing is, even though we are cutting 10 centimeters off the edge of this, so it's going to be 110 centimeters wide, we're actually marking at 14 centimeters. One of the reasons for that is that using our aluminium guide rail, that when this is running along it, there's a 4 centimeter offset on here before we hit the blade. It's not right up against the edge of the saw. So by marking 14, I know I'm going to cut 10, and by using the aluminium, we're going to get a really nice straight edge. Well, last night I ended up doing what I usually do, which is descending into a black hole of trying to get something finished rather than taking breaks and filming what I was doing. So, as you can see, quite a lot has happened since then. I've managed to get the majority of the drawer system built now. Now, as I didn't film this, I'll tell you some of the steps that I've gone through to create this system. Firstly, the external aluminium that we've used is, I've got a piece here. It's a 50mm by 50mm L-shaped aluminium that we've used, and that simply goes on like that, and we've created some drill holes down the side to bolt that onto the externals of our drawer runners. Our drawer runners are 140 kilo weighted extended, so when this is at its full extension, it should take up to 140 kilos of weight, which is pretty cool. Internally, the L metal that we've got, sorry, I don't know the real word for it, the L metal that we've got to join the shelf itself to the runner is this section here. Now you can see that has got these perforated holes running down both sides, and that made it again perfect for joining this top part onto our metal here. The way that the wood is attached to that piece of metal is this metal is sitting like this, so the L is upside down. The reason for that is the bolts holding the drawer runners to this metal come through here and they protrude this way. So if we'd had it that way, it wouldn't necessarily have worked because the drawer wouldn't have been able to sit here because the bolts would have been in the way. Another reason for having it like this is because it's lifted this and given us a really nice flush mount with the top of the runners, and eventually we'll carry this on with more tiger board on the other side. So this almost looks like it's not a shelf at all and is just part of the floor base, which I think will look a little bit more tech, and that's what we're kind of going for. I've attached both of my mountain bike brackets onto the front here. I've had to make a slight adjustment with one of them because of the forks that I've used. So be very careful when you're ordering these. They're very much fork specific for the type of bike you're using. Also, you'll see we've got our aluminium track runner system on here. So I took just one length of the track runner, cut it in half, bolted that down, and then we've got these little attachments that you can just push in very simply. And what that means is whether we've got mountain bikes on here or something else, we can now have it safely secured to this whole system. Moving forwards, the next job that we've got to do now is we've got to safely attach this drawer runner to the base of the vehicle. The ply that we've got on the bottom of for our flooring is only 12 mil, and given that 140 kilo weight that this can handle, I don't want to just drill it into that plywood. If we do that, what is going to happen is if this is at full extension and someone decides to sit on it, and let's face it, we'll plan for the worst case scenario, the drawer's never going to break. So what that's going to do is it's going to act like a lever, and it's going to end up ripping up or trying to rip up my floor at the other end. So what we're going to do for that? So what we've gone and purchased to attach this to the van is this threaded M10 steel. The reason for doing this rather than getting specific bolts is I want to make sure we get that just the right size with the most strength possible. Now, we've got a couple of options when we do this. We can do this down the whole side of both sides of our of this aluminium. So as this is going to be sitting like this, we can drill our holes all the way along here, or we can just look at maybe attaching it at the far end, because remember, it's going to work like a pivot, and it's the back end that's going to be taking the most of that strain. On the front end, we may be able to get away with just drilling it down, but again, I want to make sure that I get that finish just right. So we're going to start with this. We've got our cobalt drill bit. That is for metals, so that'll drill through the aluminium on top, the wood underneath, and the metal subframe of the metal frame of this crafter. So we're going the whole way through the vehicle, and then from the bottom we'll just be using a nut and a washer to pull everything together so that when this is extended, it is as safe and secure as possible. You know, when you have a crash, you don't want any of this stuff coming loose. So that's why we're going for the best sort of build possible. One of the things I'm very keen to get finished as well is the way all of this kind of comes together. So I'm going to be using another bit of this aluminium on the front here. Now, once we've got that in place, what that will allow me to do is know exactly where we'll be bringing this this drawer runner up to, because that will be sitting pretty much in line with that. So that'll look really good. And again, we're trying to get something that looks more like a factory finish. I'm going to take a few, probably about 4 or 5 mil off the bottom of here, because we've got our plastic step trim to go back on as well. But super happy so far. And I don't have a headache, and I haven't made myself ill. So we're going to focus on little 2-hour working blocks so I don't end up in bed again. And that's why I haven't been making videos for the last couple of weeks, because I've been bloody ill. So the first thing we're going to do is get back this plastic trim on the back here. I think I need to pull back the rubber lip that we've got on the edge, get these off. Hopefully that'll mean we can get that back on. We've cut our aluminium guide on the front, and there's a couple of little places I've got to mark off for a little cuts. So we'll get those in. Now, the next thing we need to do is drill our holes. See how that goes. So we have been cutting our length of bolt down to size. 9 centimeters has been perfect for us, and so far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts in. We're going to put another 2 in, but we're not going to be putting them central to the other 2 bolts. We're actually going to be putting these further up to the far end, because that's where most of our pivot strength, I think, is going to be coming from. So yeah, get those in next. So this is very exciting. Just checking the runner on its full slide. Still need to tighten those bolts up fully, but how good is that looking? Oh, I think we're going to put a little draw runner just along the front there. Not a runner, God, I'm tired. Just like a front to it, maybe with some handles, but we'll do that once we start getting a few other things built around it. But happy days. Inevitably, it is getting dark again. It's 4 o'clock, so we will finish this video tomorrow, and I'll show you how the system looks when it's fully loaded with the bikes. But well, magic of film, I'll catch you in about 5 seconds. Well, good morning, guys. I've taken a drive about 6 miles away from the hotel this morning. Finished quite late last night, and really happy with the sliding draw. Now, these things retail for anywhere between £600 and £900, ridiculous money, and in parts I've probably spent about 350 quid and a couple of days of my time. However, I've built it myself, and that gives me so much more satisfaction than getting something just bought and delivered. Driving down here today, I've got the rack loaded up with 2 mountain bikes, locked in on their front forks on those fork mounts that I've built into the system. No movement whatsoever. Feels really safe, sturdy, everything that we were kind of gunning for, really. Anyway, let's get around the back and get this slid out, and I'll show you exactly what I've done. So one of the reasons that I wanted to build this system in the first place is I'm forever leaning over things that are super heavy and doing in my lower back. So I wanted to come up with a way that we could load stuff into the back of this truck. It could even be things as simple as doing your shopping. How many times do you have to lean right in with heavy loads and you just don't want to? So coming up with a decent alternative. Yes, it might be a bit expensive, but hey, it's that quality of life that I'm aiming for. So this is the draw system. You can see these 2 little yellow latches here. That just unlocks it. So at the moment it's locked, and if we just hold those and pull back, that extends to a full 140 centimeters, which is nuts. Almost a metre and a half outside of the van. Very solid there. The draw runners are weighted to 140 kilos. However, you have to take into consideration the other parts that you're going to be using. I've used aluminium and for some very thin sheet metal. I'd be happy with maybe 70 or 80 kilos on here, no problem at all. But any more than that, and I think other parts in the structure might start to fail. And putting it away is literally the opposite. So at the moment it's locked out, so it won't go anywhere. Imagine if you're on a hill and stuff. Again, that's super useful. And to put it back in, we just pull the little yellow tags, and it's as simple as that, and you're good to go again. These mountain bike fork mounts that go onto the base, now they've got a locking facility on them. So if you've got yourself a little U-lock, I can't remember the name of it, a little lock, you basically put that lock in there, and that means no one, if they do get into the back of your truck, is going to be able to get those off of there at all. We've also managed to finish off this front edge. I just need to join it down. So that's our aluminium 50 by 50 that we cut down on the front edge. And we've also reattached our plastic foot tread here on the front. I did think about replacing this. You can pick these up for about 40 or 50 quid, but honestly, with jumping in and out of the van so much, I figured keep it as it is, and maybe down the line we might wrap to that. Now that we've got the drawer system built, the next thing that we'll be doing is actually building all of the cabinetry around it to create that raised bed space. I also know now that with this bed that we have around about 90 centimeters of room up and around about 90 centimeters below, there or thereabouts. What that means is I won't be able to quite sit up in bed, but there'll be a hell of a lot of room up there. And I've also got ideas for how we're going to be able to make a lowering and raising platform for the bed system as well, which is quite exciting. Well, that's it for another video. I hope you've enjoyed this build on the van drawer for all of our adventure equipment. Make sure you hit subscribe and that notification symbol so you see every single video that comes up on the channel in the future. We're going to get out of here and I will see you very, very soon. Bye guys.